Hello and welcome to our channel. Years ago, on February 24th, 2022, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, an act many believed would end in days with Moscow's swift victory. Yet here we are, marking 4 long years of unrelenting war. This conflict has devastated Ukraine and reshaped modern warfare, the global balance of power, and the foundations of European and international security. For Ukraine, these years have been a brutal test of survival and adaptation. The Ukrainian people have paid an unimaginable price in blood, grief, and destruction, holding the line not just for their homeland, but to shield Europe's borders from further Russian aggression. As one military intelligence officer texted amid the chaos, "Some of us are still positive, but just because there is no other option." This quiet resilience defines the Ukrainian spirit, fighting on with no alternative, even as exhaustion deepens. It is a cruel paradox that many in the West also yearn for the war to end tomorrow, weary of its toll on defense budgets, energy prices, and daily life. Yet reluctance to provide sustained, decisive support to Kiev has prolonged the suffering, forcing Ukraine into a grinding attritional struggle. Europe has often chosen a false economy, spending less today on aid and defense, while risking far greater costs if the conflict spreads. Western estimates warn that if Ukraine's front lines collapse and Kiev falls, Russian forces could soon reach NATO's borders. Still, that threat has not sparked the urgency or mobilization required. Vladimir Putin's ruthlessness and determination have, paradoxically, convinced too many in Europe that he might one day tire conquest, rather than reinforcing the need for steadfast opposition. Exhaustion dominates both sides. The West hopes Russian budgets and manpower will collapse, while Moscow bets on outlasting Western resolve. The war has triggered seismic global shifts, beginning with diplomacy. Under President Donald Trump, traditional negotiation norms, red lines, multilateral formats, established agendas have been discarded for a disruptive, results-oriented approach. High-profile moments, like the red carpet welcome for Putin in Alaska on August 15, 2025, despite war crimes indictments, signaled a new era. Tough sanctions on Russian oil followed, along with short, patchy ceasefires on energy infrastructure. Yet no comprehensive peace has emerged, no deal in 24 hours, nor even in the months since. Talks in venues from Geneva to Abu Dhabi loop endlessly with new formats and scant progress. Even Secretary of State Marco Rubio has admitted uncertainty about whether Russia truly seeks peace. The outcome: diplomatic disorder, emotional whiplash for European allies, and persistent pressure on Kiev to compromise. The most enduring change may be the revolution in warfare, especially the explosive rise of drones and automation. In late 2023, Ukraine faced desperate shortages in infantry and artillery. Drones filled the gap with remarkable ingenuity. A relentless 6-week innovation cycle emerged on the front lines. New ideas tested, refined, and deployed at unprecedented speed. Units like Blackwing now assemble first-person view drones near the front, turning necessity into lethal precision. Russia has matched and sometimes surpassed this pace, deploying chilling innovations. Drones with motion sensors that loiter silently before detonating on passing infantry, or swarms overwhelming defenses. This automated killing machine has left Western military scrambling to adapt, redefining 21st century warfare. The drone revolution is existential. Technology compensates for manpower shortages and turns battlefields into arenas of constant, impersonal lethality. Europe itself has been redefined. NATO was built on the promise of American defense for the continent. Yet under shifting U.S. priorities, that assurance has eroded rapidly. Leaders in the UK, France, and Germany hesitate to increase defense spending amid strained budgets and domestic politics, even as far-right voices argue Russia can be negotiated away. Aid to Ukraine arrives slowly. Pledges to reach higher NATO targets are delayed years into the future. Russian drones enter European airspace. Sabotage disrupts infrastructure, yet the narrative persists. Russia's collapse is imminent. Evidence of Moscow's economic and manpower strain exists, but remains a hope, not a strategy. Globally, the balance of power has tilted. The United States has stepped back from its post-Cold War leadership role, pursuing narrower local goals. Allies are now chosen based on ideological alignment rather than broad commitments. China supports Russia just enough, buying oil, supplying dual-use technology, to keep Moscow afloat without guaranteeing victory, emerging as a senior partner. India sustained Russia through cheap oil purchases, only recently moderating for better U.S. trade ties. Europe feels increasingly abandoned, dismissed in stark terms by U.S. officials. The era of American global supremacy is giving way to multipolar competition, with vast oceans separating great powers like China, India, and Russia. For Ukrainians, these shifts are not abstract. They mean cold winters, constant anxiety, profound grief, and daily loss. Shock still lingers after 4 years. The betrayal by a so-called brotherly nation, the sheer fact of invasion. Frontline fighters like Katia, a military intelligence officer, carry revolvers and smiles through chaos, haunted by suicides among comrades and relentless grind. The war becomes a game, she said, but there is no choice but to insert another coin and play another round. Exhaustion is immense. Society rarely acknowledges a toll on those who have fought without rest. Civilians adapt amid sirens and strikes. In places like Kramatorsk, life clings on, restaurants and shops open, until drones and missiles force flight. Families fracture as loved ones are drafted. Cities like Kharkiv become refuges. Drone operators like Timer Samsonov innovate ceaselessly. What works today fails tomorrow, yet bravado endures from necessity. Ukraine is invincible because we will do everything for our victory, whether anyone helps us or not. Recent developments show the war's persistence into 2026. Russia occupies roughly 20% of Ukraine, gaining slow, costly ground, often mere meters per day in Donetsk, yet no decisive breakthrough. Ukrainian forces have reclaimed pockets in the south, liberating hundreds of square kilometers amid shortages. Massive Russian strikes target energy, water, and rail infrastructure to degrade society and logistics. Think tanks assess Russia can sustain operations through 2026 and beyond, while Ukraine innovates to offset numerical disadvantages. For years on, the war has torn apart a nation, widowed and orphaned countless families, and exposed a demographic catastrophe. Yet Ukraine endures, applauded by the West, but often left to fight nearly alone. Front lines shift, drones hum overhead, diplomatic efforts falter. Peace remains elusive, but the Ukrainian will survive and reclaim sovereignty burns fiercely. This conflict is forever change warfare, alliances, and global order. As the fifth year begins, the world watches. Will exhaustion break one side, or will resolve and innovation prevail? For Ukraine, there is no other path but forward, through dust, loss, and unyielding determination. The cost has been staggering, but so is the courage on display. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.